Hey guys, Shy Got Picks here. Hope everyone's doing well. We're here to be breaking down the best bets for UFC, Edwards versus Brady, and I've got some spots that I feel really good about in this card. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my full fight breakdown video where I go in depth on every matchup in this card. This one's strictly focusing on the bet side of things. Also, I kind of just want to do a one take kind of thing on this one where I'm just breaking it down and not necessarily doing any cuts. And if I make a mistake, then I make a mistake sort of thing, right? Let's get right into it. First up, we got Guram Kutateladze versus Kaue Fernandes. This one, Kutateladze is negative 400, so you kind of have to find other spots in this one regarding betting stuff, betting spots. Ultimately, I'm liking the Kutateladze by decision. It's at negative 115 currently. I think that's really the best path to victory for Guram Kutateladze. I do think he's going to win this one. So given that, and he's a negative 425 favorite, you gotta, I just think the way to go. I mean, some people got him to win by knockout, and he can absolutely possibly knock this guy out. I just don't see it. But the fact of the matter is that he might knock him out. I think the over 2.5 at negative 175 is the better bang for your buck. That's probably where I'm going to be laying my money on, as well as the fight goes a distance at negative 150. If you're not too sure on which side to pick on, but I think Kutateladze is going to win this one, and I also think it's going to go the distance, so you might as well get the best bang for your buck on the negative 115, Kutateladze by decision. Up next in the card, we got Loughran versus Nathan Fletcher. This one is a really, really, really tough one to predict. This is a rematch. Loughran won the first fight, but this is when they were amateurs, of course, and Nathan Fletcher's 9-1, Loughran is 9-2. You could probably do an argument on both sides, absolutely, like I mentioned in my breakdown video, and I can completely understand that. So that is why this fight is getting you just need to avoid it stamp on it. You just need to avoid this fight. I mean, it's a coin flip for a reason. There's a lot that could happen and a lot that cannot happen. Fletcher could submit him as well, so you really don't know whether or not you should do the over and unders here on this side, or even the goes a distance. I personally like it to go the distance. I think someone's going to be, probably getting their hand raised by the judges. So, this is gun to the head for me, where I'm picking Loughran to win at negative 105. If you really, really are looking for a bet, and probably the better bet is that this fight goes the distance. But this one's for sure a dog or pass for me. I just can't see the why people are so high on wanting to bet this fight. I just gotta avoid it completely. Up next on the card, we got Shauna Bannon versus Puja Tomar. This is absolutely another fight that I am nowhere. There's just no way you can land money on this. You just can't lay money on this fight. You got Bannon versus Tomar, who both are just really not good fighters. Let's just be honest. Bannon opened up at negative 200, I believe. Now she's going down to negative 180, and it kind of makes sense. I like Tomar. I think this fight goes on the Tomar side, but at the end of the day, they're both just really so trash that you really, really can't pick either side, let alone put your money on this one. And then the two actual picks that you want to put money on are just super juiced. You have the over 2.5 at negative 550, and you also have the goes a distance prop at negative 500. So I just, I don't see it. So you only got two things here. You either pick one side to win, where it's the Bannon at negative 180, which makes no sense, or Tomar at plus money, but you're also picking Tomar, or you pick one side and you pick them to win by decision, because I only see this fight going to decision. So if you like the Puja side and you want her to go, and you think she's going to win, plus 235 makes a lot more sense. And the Bannon side, I believe it's plus 150 for her to win on decision. So you pick one side and go with the decision prop, because this one, you just got to stay far away. But if you're just looking for a bet to bet on, I guess that's just the way to go. Up next in the card, we got Andrey Pulyaev versus Christian Leroy Duncan. I think this is another one where it's really hard to find things to bet on, because CLD's at negative 550. I absolutely think he wins this one. So you got to look for other spots. I think this fight doesn't go the distance. I have a lot of, I see people taking the distance side, but I just don't see it. I don't see how CLD doesn't finish this guy inside the distance. So, this one, I believe the no distance prop at negative 250 is the way to go, as well as the inside the distance CLD prop at negative 250 might be a good parlay piece. But really, the one that I think has the best value and the best one that I think, I just think all three of these are going to hit. I think they're not going to go to distance. I think he's going to win inside the distance. But the best value for the best bang for your buck here is going to be that CLD wins by knockout at -185. I figure he gets it done in the second round, which is one of those tough ones because you really can't do it the over or unders. So, no distance -250, inside the distance -250, by knockout -185. That has to be your plays. But they're still kind of juiced. So it's a tough one. I probably won't be laying money on that one, but I don't see how he doesn't knock him out in this fight. Up next in the card, we got Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. This one is another one that's really, really tough to pick. It's going 50-50, I believe. I was leaning on the Parkin side in the beginning. He's undefeated. He's going on a good run. He beat Bresky, but Bresky's pretty damn trash. He beat Muhammad Usman when I didn't think so, but Muhammad Usman has shown us that he's also not that good either. But he wasn't impressive in these fights, let's be honest. He just wasn't. And I do think he lost to that Machado, not Machado fight. And we got Tybura, who's 39 years old, but still absolutely showing us that he can knock people out like he did with Jonata Denise. So, this one's a really, really, really tough one. So I got to go with dog or pass on this side. But you're really not getting that much plus money on your side either at +105 anyways. So, I mean, let's be honest as well. Tybura opened up -140, and now he's +105. So I got to take the 105 here. It's definitely dog or pass for me. I like the over 2.5 as well at -150. I just think that both of these fighters, they're not necessarily knockout guys kind of thing. So I think this is going to go the distance. And another one that I really like, and this is for a sprinkle, of course, I think we should sprinkle a little bit, maybe $10 on it, where the fight ends in a split decision, where someone wins by split decision. And you're going to see me picking that prop bet a lot here. I'm seeing it's just really good. You're just giving us really good prices on split decision bets when some of these are coin flips. So, the fight ending in split decision at +375, I think that deserves a little bit of a sprinkle for me. Up next on the card, we got Lonnie Kavanagh facing... What? My computer's freezing now. This is great. Well, up next on the card, we got Lonnie Kavanagh facing... Who was it? Felipe dos Santos. That's what it was. Regardless, the reason why I can't remember who he was facing is because I'm all over Kavanagh. I got him at -300. That's just a great price for me. I think he's a fantastic parlay piece. I don't think this is going to go the distance at all, which is a +185. I think he wins by knockout, +300. But the best one that I think, the best bet that I think, let's be honest, because he might not knock him out. 83% of the people on Tapology have him to win by decision. So that might not be the smartest play. So Kavanagh to win by points is -125. But Kavanagh to win spread, -3.5, is at -135. And I think that's the best piece if you're looking for a straight on this card, because I'm definitely, absolutely, 100% putting Lonnie Kavanagh in a parlay piece, just not too sure as of who yet. But Lonnie Kavanagh, I think we got to hammer this guy. I don't see FDS doesn't have any path to victory, in my opinion, regarding Lonnie. And he's very similar to his last opponent, who is his teammate. So I have to take the Lonnie side here. Up next on the card, we got Jai Herbert versus Chris Taco Padilla. This is another really, really, really tough one. I think it's a coin flip. I mean, let's be honest, it is on the odds wise. What I meant by coin flip, I think that half the prediction YouTubers are going to be on one side and half are going to be on the other. And let's be honest, when I first looked at it, I thought Chris Padilla. And then the more I look at it, the more I realize that he's just not facing the same level of competition as Jai Herbert is. And I know Herbert's record is not looking the best, but when you break it down, it's not a bad record whatsoever, especially because he's losing to high tier level fighters like Ilya Taporia, drawing to Ludovic Klein, and losing to Fares Ziem almost a year and a half ago. So these are not bad losses. It's just the fact that he's 36 years old. So we don't necessarily know who we're gonna get, but we do know is that he's 4 inches taller. He has 3 inches in reach advantage, and Padilla also gets hit a lot, and he kind of slows down later in the rounds. So like I said, I know a lot of people are going to be 50-50 on this, and people are going to be arguing with me on the Chris Padilla side. But really, what it boils down to is that I think this is going to be a split decision. I for sure think this is going to be a split decision. Like, I think Padilla is going to win the first round, and Herbert is going to win the second or third round. Or Herbert wins the first two, and then Padilla wins the third, which is, I think, is less likely. But it's one or the other, where I think Herbert is going to win 2 out of the 3 rounds, which comes down to the bets. I think this fight goes a distance. That's -115. That's a solid pick. Guns to the head, if I'm picking money line, I'm picking Herbert, -115. I think he's even an underdog now. So we're picking method of victory now. By KO, +400 there. If you pick the Chris Padilla side, I'm not too sure. I think this one is not going a distance. It's tough. It's tough. A super hard fight to be betting on, but the split decision is at +450. That requires a sprinkle for me, man. It just does. I think it's tough. I'm not saying it's not, because someone can get knocked out, but I think that one deserves a sprinkle. I think if anything, this is probably the best one. If not, the next fight on the card is going to be the best one for the sprinkles. But this is a really solid one. I think if they go the distance, I'm figuring it's going to be a split decision. But like I said, this is a gun to the head fight. I don't have any bets on this one. I think this is a very scary one, and I think it should be one that we should just sit back and relax and enjoy on. Up next in the card, we got Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan Charriere. This is another super difficult one, but I also think that there's a lot of value on the Charriere side now. At -200, there wasn't. There absolutely wasn't. Let's just be honest. I think it should be pick 'em odds. But if he gets anywhere closer to pick 'em odds, I gotta be picking him. So if he gets anywhere lower than -150, I'll probably play a bet on him. But the split decision, +325, that's looking real good. This is probably the best candidate for it, because I for sure think that this fight is going to decision. In the last fight that we just mentioned, the Herbert versus Padilla, that one is a little bit scarier and higher in odds, of course, because someone could get knocked out. Charriere versus Wood, I'm almost positive that this one's going to go to decision. So the distance prop is -220, and that's a solid prop for a parlay piece if you're looking for a parlay piece. -220 is not bad at all, and I definitely think they're going to go to the distance. Charriere may knock him out, but we've seen Wood have a very durable chin. He's been dropped, but he has a very durable chin. And so when you look down at it like that, I'm picking the Charriere side. I'm picking him. And if he goes to -150, I'm picking that. But that split decision, 325, is looking real, real lovely to me. Up next on the card, we got Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. I think this one's pretty easy and very straightforward to be betting on. Vucenic at -400 is high, but it is a very solid parlay piece. But the main way that I think he's going to win is by submission. And the main way that Duncan is probably going to win, if he does win, because I don't think he's going to win, is going to be by a knockout. So fight doesn't go to distance, is at -160. That's a solid play. But really what I'm looking at is Vucenic by submission, +275. I'm loving that. It's just as much as I loved the prop play for submission last week for Blackshear, and he went from from +375 all the way down to +175. I expect this one to be doing the exact same thing. Vucenic wins by submission. That's just how he wins. Now, let's click on his profile just to make sure how many submissions he has. He has, out of the 8 finishes that he has 13 wins, 8 finishes, 6 of them by submission. And so we just have to be taking that side. We just have to. And I know we saw him lose to Kutateladze, but that just proves how good Kutateladze is. Because Vucenic came into that fight as a big -400 favorite. And it's for a reason, because he's really, really good, and I don't see Chris Duncan being able to stifle him as much as Kutateladze did, even though they're basically at the same odds. I just don't see it. Vucenic is probably for sure going to win this fight, and if he wins, I'm very confident in that submission prop. And if you're not confident in that submission prop, I'm very, very confident in that -3.5, that spread where even if it goes to the judges, I'm seeing that he's winning by 3 rounds. I just don't see it going to judges, and I think he's going to finish him. And so, therefore, I got to be taking that -3.5. It's probably another bet that I'm going to be looking at. Up next in the card, we got Molly McCann versus Alexia Thainara. This one is another one. I feel bad for McCann. She had a very, very simple Very simple matchup, and now she's facing Thainara, which is a stylistic nightmare for her. I understand that Thainara is coming into this as, I believe 2 weeks short notice is just, I think she's just literally way better than McCann, so I don't really care about the short week notice. I know that these fighters are always in the gym, so I'm not necessarily worried about her not training. So I think this is a clear one. Negative 180 is a solid play for me. The only thing that scares me is the fact that McCann is at home, but she's lost at home before. We've seen it, so I'm not necessarily scared about that. So, Thainara by money line, I do like it, but it's still a gun to the head play. I probably wouldn't lay money on it. Most I would do is put her in a parlay, but I really like that over 2.5. And if you really looking for a play, Thainara by decision. But like I said, this is a gun to the head play. Up next in the card, we got Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson. God, do I hate Holland now. He was literally my favorite fighter of how he used to talk shit in the Apex when everybody was close and everybody could hear exactly what he was saying. I fucking love that. And he was kicking people's asses. And now, he's not kicking people's asses. He's getting his ass kicked. And he's looking embarrassed. It's embarrassing, truthfully. Now, losing to RDR by submission is not a bad look, let's be honest, but it's how he loses in under a minute that's crazy. At least from what I remember. I know it was round 1, but I think it was like in a minute that he got submitted. He's looking embarrassing, but at 170, he fights well. And that's just the fact of the matter, the fact of the matter is that he fights well at 170. And we saw him tweet saying, "You guys are right. I've been fighting like shit. You're right. I only fight for..." Because let's be honest, we know he's only fighting for a paycheck. We know that. But can you bet Holland? I don't know, man. I don't know if I can. I really don't know if I can. So this fight, I'm not going to lie to you. I got a whole script in front of me where I wrote down so much shit and so many bullet points for every fight. And I got one bullet point for this fight, and it's to avoid it. That's it. I didn't even look for prop bets on this one. Because you got Holland in there. He's just an absolute wild card. You don't know what type of person you're going to get from there. You get one Holland who's on the ground, knocking out Souza on the ground. And you got another guy who just looks like a fish out of water, literally, when he's on the ground. So, I can't justify any money being put on this fight whatsoever. And I'm a gambler. I like gambling on every single fight because it's fun. There's some fights that are just not fun to watch. Like a McCann Thainara, I'm not excited to watch it. I'm not like, "Oh my God, this is on the main card. I can't wait." Like, no. But I know I'm going to watch the main card, so I'm willing to put 10 beans on Thainara. Even if I lose it, I don't care. It's 10 beans. And I'm not putting my money on this. I can't. Fuck Holland at this point. He's too much of a wild card. I just also can't put money on Gunnar Nelson. I don't think he's going to win this fight. I don't. But that doesn't mean I'm putting my hard-earned money on Holland. So, up next on the card, we got Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. Another fight that I just really don't understand why so many people are on Blachowicz. I said it in the last video, and then I posted on my Instagram reel, and I had one guy post, "Dude, why are you so certain on the Ulberg guy? Like, have you seen Jan fight? Have you seen Ulberg facing in his last fight?" Yes, I've seen it. But we have to remember, Blachowicz is 42, coming off of two shoulder surgeries, not injuries, surgeries. He is 42. Do you remember? Like, we were talking about Stipe like he was like an old man. Blachowicz is just as old. He's older. Like, he's facing an elite Ulberg who has one of the cleanest left hooks ever. And what are we talking about? I don't understand it. And I understand that people are thinking that I'm disrespecting Jan. I am absolutely not disrespecting Jan. I know he's legit. But he's old. He's old, bros. He's not as fast anymore. He's not as... You can't deny that. You can't deny that. You guys started watching UFC in 2019 when the pandemic hit. We are now in 2025. We're 6 years later. He is old. Let's be honest. I just don't understand why people are all over this and and telling me that I'm crazy for being all over Oldberg. I just don't understand it. And hopefully I'm not proven wrong, because I just don't see it. I truthfully don't see it. So Oldberg at negative 250, I'm hammering that bitch. Oldberg at decision plus 155. Oh my God, I can't believe the value we're getting. Over 2.5, negative 140. Beautiful. Fight goes a distance, negative 130. Beautiful. Take all 4 of these plays, pick one of them, put them all in a parlay. They're going to hit. I think so. I think so, man. I just don't see it. I also don't think Oldberg is going to knock him out. I think Blachowicz is very durable, but he can knock him out. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think Blachowicz is going to knock him out. And I get it. The biggest blemish we have on the Oldberg side is that he got knocked out by Nzechukwu. That's it. That's it. After that, he's won 7 fights in a row. Knocked multiple people out. I don't get it. I don't get it. People really think that I'm disrespecting Blachowicz, and I'm not. And I truly think you guys are disrespecting Oldberg. I truly do. I truly do. I don't get it. I'm all over the Oldberg side. I don't get it. Up next in the card, we got the main event. Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. Another super tough one. Super tough one to fight. I mean, to pick and predict. And so I think it's really up to you on this one. I think main events are always probably the best fight to bet on, especially because they're usually their last leg and you're hoping that your parlay hits. And I got the Brady side. And I think it's the odds are only going to get wider. And I think it should be a pick 'em odds. I think it was pick 'em to open up, and now he's negative 140, and I think he's pushing to negative 160 now. Negative 160, I'm starting to not like that, and I think that's pushing more dog or pass status. But I also don't think Leon Edwards is going to win, so it's tough. But of course, EV-wise, you're getting more value on Leon Edwards, absolutely, of course. But when you look down at it, I like the over 4.5. Both these guys are very durable. Both of these guys, Brady's going to be wrestling a lot, and Edwards is going to be fending off those wrestling. And it ultimately comes down to whether or not Leon Edwards knocks him out, and I don't really think he's going to do that. And so, and let's be honest, Sean Brady's one loss comes to Bilal, even though he did knock him out, which is crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe that he knocked him out. I always forget that he got knocked out by Bilal Muhammad. It's just crazy. But and it wasn't even a ground and pound. It was a standing TKO. It's crazy. But let's be honest. We've seen how good he is. He did a Kimura against Kevin Gastelum. He beat Gilbert Burns in a unanimous decision. Like, those are solid wins. If anything, I think Gilbert Burns is a perfect example of why people are, like, you guys started watching UFC in 2019, so you guys are all over these older guys because you guys love them so much. That's probably why you picked Gilbert Burns to beat Sean Brady, and then he lost. Because Burns is like 38. I digress. But I think this fight goes a distance, negative 180. That's really solid. As well as, I mean, this one's more, I don't really necessarily like it, but I do want to point it out there since I've already pointed it out 3 times. Split decision, plus 400. I don't think it's going to be a split decision. I think it's going to be like 3-2 Brady or 4-1 Brady. But I can totally see it. You know, ultimately, if Sal D'Amato is the judge, betting that the fight goes to split decision might be a gold mine that we've just found, truthfully. But all right, guys, that's a wrap. Those are my best bets for the UFC. Edwards versus Brady. I feel really good about some of these plays, and I really do think some of these fights are gonna end up in a split decision. So I'm really gonna have to see which ones I want to sprinkle on. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my full breakdown video for a deeper dive into each matchup. And as always, if you find this helpful, drop a like and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow. And let me know what your best bets are. Do you have a 4-leg parlay that you want to let me know in the comments below? Let's create a community where we start talking about bets. Please, comment below. Tell me what you got. I'll see you next time. Stay up.